Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with What's a Rolfie, Unky, Fireman 1231, JDB Cubed, and Fireman Freddy. Let's get to the show. And welcome back, everybody, to the Cool Fireman Podcast. We got four. Nick's getting edumacated today. He's going to join us on another recording, but you made it. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate you guys supporting us today.
Hey, Freddie.
Yeah.
Can I interject real quick? I have a little bit of, I have something I got to say.
Yeah.
So
get it off your chest.
I've been meaning to give this shout out. I got to give a shout out. So it's not really, has nothing to do with the topic today, but so there's this girl that I met in the city that I work for. She lives there. She has Williams syndrome, and we've become really good friends over the past like 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted me to shout her out. So shout out to Mo. Everybody say hi to Mo.
What up, Mo?
Mo? So there's your shout out, Mo. But one really cool thing is Mo had a documentary done about her, and it's called Queen Maria. And it took him 6 years to do it. It kind of documents the past 6 years of her life. And the poor girl's, I think, 23, 24 years old. She's had 8 or 9 heart surgeries in her life and what she's dealt with Williams syndrome. But Mo is amazing. She is like the strongest person I've ever met in my life. She's an inspiration to everybody. So I wanted to give her a cool shout out. And if you guys are down with really cool like documentaries, it's 20 or 30 minutes long. Queen Maria, they're putting it into film festivals and all kinds of cool stuff. So I want to give a shout out to Mo.
Awesome.
Sorry to derail you.
No, you're good.
Link that documentary when we post it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's like a private place that you can go to watch it yet, but we will for sure keep up.
But definitely include the title or whatever, so people can try to find it on their own until we can find out exactly where it's at.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So, yep.
Awesome.
I call her my heart sister. I'm her heart brother, and so she gives me inspiration to keep going. And I mean, many people inspiration. So anyways, Sorry.
Nice. Yeah. So what's up, Mo? Thanks for listening, because I know she's a listener.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we are going to dive into the world. We're going to scratch the surface, I'm sure of it. The world of tools, whether it's off of the truck, whether it's in your pockets of your turnout gear. What are you taking with you on what calls? Does it depend on the apparatus that you're on? What do you keep in your pockets? There's a lot to kind of dive into for that. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that we do our moment of silence. There's been a couple more line of duty deaths that have happened here in the last couple of weeks. It's unfortunate, but it becomes a scary reality with our career that anything can happen at any time. So if we could take just a brief moment of silence for those that we have lost in the past week or so. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for indulging us on that. It's an important part of our podcast. We're doing our best to do it every week. So, diving into tools, there are, in my opinion, there's a couple of different schools of thought. Some people like to grab what I like to call the Hulk tools, the one that's big, heavy, and they can break their way through things. Other people will grab something that is a multi-tool, something like a Denver or a Fire Axe Unlimited, something that's got a whole bunch of different pieces on it. And then you have, your Hooker Harrys. They only grab the pike pole, the New York hook. Do you grab a water can? How about a tick? Lots of different things that can be associated with different scenes in the fire service. And so right off the bat, we're going to go to Big City Doug. And
Big City Doug! Hold on.
We're not going to Big City Doug.
I'll be right back. My dog opened the front door. Hold on.
Uh-oh. All right. We're skipping Big City Doug.
The pigs are coming in, and the turkeys are awry.
We're going to go with Medium City California, Matt,
Hello.
who has gone from pipeman, if you will, to driver, and is now kind of flirting with possible command structures. So there's probably been a few schools of thought that you've had to change throughout your career. So tell me your approach here, there, Mr. Matt.
Well, he's now an engineer, so he brings firefighters and a captain with him as part of his tools.
Those are a
Right.
bunch of tools.
Yeah. At the current moment, my
Waka
toolbox has 6 tires, 6
Hey-o.
wheel drive. Yeah. I'll tell you this. I'm not gonna lie. And you guys might be able to relate to this, but I'll tell you, one thing I got to remember is to pull the gloves out of my turnout pockets because I'm a paramedic. I got the healing hands, and one thing I never remember to do is to pull the used medical gloves that I've like bound up, and they're just in my turnout pockets. So that happens a lot with us. We run a lot of medical aids. Don't run a ton of fires, although we do get our fair share. So yeah, you're right. Being able to kind of touch all the different levels of the fire service from firefighter to engineer, and now, like you said, I'm scratching the surface as a captain. I mean, I love the Halligan. I love the Halligan. That's my go-to tool as a firefighter. If I'm on, it just depends on what kind of call you're on. I mean, we could talk for days on the different call types and what we might grab. But if we're going to sit here and talk about tools that everybody can kind of relate to, the Halligan, I mean, you just can't go wrong with it. It's part of the irons. We've kind of gotten into a habit in our department where when I first started as a firefighter, I would jump off, I would grab my irons, and I would pace out to the front door or to the entry of the building for a structure fire. And that kind of gave me an idea of how, basically one pace would be about 3 meters or so, or 6 feet. So I would be able to do it in my head. Okay, it's 100 feet to the front door. And then I'd come back, grab my line, and then I'd kind of know how much, hose I would need. But now it's turned a little bit, and now kind of obviously I'm going to skip the engineer thing because I stay at the engine and pump all day. But and that's for first on, obviously. But and if now scratching the captain rank, I like on structure fires specifically to still grab part of the irons and have the firefighter grab the flathead, and I'll still grab my Halligan. And the reason is because, and you guys know that a big part of a structure fire is doing a complete 360 of the building if you can. And when you're doing your 360, sometimes you need to open up doors real quick, or you can make a quick, effective rescue with you got to have something in your hand. And
you soften the building.
Yeah, right. So most of the time, the little things that are in your bellows or your pockets, might be wedges, little tools that might shut off water or utilities or whatever, aren't going to be enough to, really, get into a building or soften the structure, like you're saying. I mean, I ain't going to be pulling any bars off windows. Typically, we don't have many bars on our windows, thankfully, in Laguna Beach, but I probably shouldn't have. Anyways, so the Halligan is probably my go-to. It's on TCs, car fires, Halligan. You can use the Halligan to prop the hood of the car open on a car fire. You can use it. It's multi-tool. You can use it for a whole bunch of different things. You mentioned ticks. We're very blessed to have ticks on our engines. I'm not sure if everybody has the ticks, but those are an essential tool for safety on structure fires. On and on and on. We don't really have like a special thing. One question I might have for you guys is water tool, like a water key. So if you guys got a sheared water hydrant, so when I worked for the county as a reserve, as a volunteer, we had commercial sized water keys on our squads. And so we'd get there and, it's a geyser 150 feet in the air, and we would get to go in there and turn this sucker off. Well, with my new department, I was surprised to hear that we have maybe like a little residential size one, but we call, if we have a sheared hydrant, we call, hey, dispatch, bring water, the water department out here to shut this thing down. So I'm kind of curious to, I don't know, it's kind of menial, but what do you guys do as far as like water key stuff?
At
What do you
my
got,
fi-
Unky?
at my firehouse, we have we have two water keys, the one with the small square and the big square. And we actually just keep it in our station because we're on a federal installation on a base, so we don't get too far away from our station. So they're about one perch long. And see what I mess with Doug.
Yeah,
So, they're about one perch long. So we put them in. They don't stay on the truck because we have no absolute room for them. We put them up top. We're always afraid for them to slide off and we not know it. So we keep them in the station and we'll put them in the passenger compartment from one door to the other door. And they're like across our lap and we're holding on to them as we're going. If the call comes out with some kind of water issue, we'll grab it and take it. So that's it for
Douglas probably has like a full separate, water
truck
engine that comes and, hey, we're here just to deal with the water problem.
We're the water crew.
It's a skew.
I'm not going to tolerate all this blasphemy and debauchery. Look here. This is America. We don't use meters or perches to measure nothing. All right.
What about furlongs?
Look here.
How about a
Stop
chain?
Stop it.
We use freedom units around here.
That truck. We will not go to the metric system. It will not happen.
That truck is about 7 dishwashers long.
Anyway,
there you go.
And about three Becky's wide.
Oh
Shit.
God.
Ooh,
To answer
Becky.
your question about the water,
Becky with the good hair.
about the water, Becky with the good hair. All of our engines have a residential water key, just the prongs, you know what I mean, to turn off just a quarter turn valve. Our truck companies have the big squares for the commercials and that kind of stuff. But our utilities department is pretty good about, if we need them, they're pretty good about getting out pretty quick. But as far as I'm peeking up at the Braves game, sorry. As far as tools go, if I'm riding the front seat, I typically grab the New York hook, or a sheetrock hook, which is, in my opinion, a very underrated tool. If I'm in the jump seat, I'll grab the irons. If my jump seat guy wants to grab the hook, I kind of communicate that daily. If you want to take the hook, if that's your preferred tool, I'll take the irons, vice versa, whatever. But you're right, Matt. You don't walk up to a scene without something in your hand. If it's a working job or if it comes in as a structure, we're not. If you're not first in, you're probably not taking a can. I'm a big proponent of, if you're second or third in, by all means, take your RIC bag or RIT, whatever y'all call it, wherever you're at, to the scene as well. And I mean, you can't have too much stuff at the scene. You can take extra stuff off your rig. Everybody's like, oh, the first unit gets robbed. Well, it doesn't have to. You always need more stuff. Ladders. The truck company's got numerous ladders, but you may need more. But as far as tools, it's either a New York hook or a sheetrock hook for me.
I just want to put out there, I got a little pet peeve. Now I know it's going to get worse once they hear this. My truck, it's all depends on if we're in our first due truck or a reserve truck. We constantly bounce in and out our trucks. So depending on where you sit in the back, you can be responsible for the tick or for the irons or the cans. It's just kind of where we end up setting it up. But my pet peeve is we have a guy that loves his New York hook. And that's fine. The one that belongs on the truck. He carries it in the cab. Nothing holds it down. Moves it. DOT says everything must be secured.
Yeah,
including your helmet.
Yes, everything's supposed to be secured. I understand we got map books. There's little things that are out there that's going to get thrown around. But my father was, when he went out to move to a different base, within the 4th day, they got in a horrible accident. They, a bus ran them off the road. They swerved and they hit a tree, pinned the driver in. My dad got a cut on his hand as the officer. Guy messed up his back. One guy broke his hand and his wrist. Everything that morning, he just realized nothing has a place on that truck. Everything's just laying around. And he's like, we're going to fix it tonight. And they went out to training at another base and everything went flying. And SCBA, that was the drivers, it sat in the back wall of the truck. And it was the new bottles that we got at the time, which are the smaller 45 instead of the big tanks. Well, the bracket was built for the big tanks. So when they hit that tree, it was just hanging on by one strap, and it could have creamed anybody in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So after that incident, I tried my best to be vigilant. I understand there's going to be junk laying around the truck in general, small stuff. But that hook, every time I come into work, he just leaves it there. I pick it up and I put it back in the compartment. You got to have stuff strapped down because you never know what you're going to hit. Even on my simple base, speed limit doesn't get over 35 miles per hour. Still, if you hit something, things can go flying.
For sure.
Back to
No, you're good.
What Matt was saying earlier about ticks. All of our company officers have a tick in their routing position, and some of the truck companies have multiple ticks. I think 7 trucks got the integrated ones on the air pack on the ICM module. But we've got every first fire apparatus has at least one tick on it. That's a thermal imaging camera for anybody who doesn't understand what we're talking about. They're extremely helpful in not only fire scenarios, but if you're watching your guys search the building, if you're looking for somebody at night, if you're looking for possible ejections from a vehicle or crash at night when you're trying to clear a vehicle. I mean, they're amazing tools for what they are.
Vertical ventilation, you can see the rafters.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They're just so useful for us. God, they're expensive, but they're extremely useful for what we do. We'll get into pockets in a little while. Freddie, what you want to scratch the surface here?
So for us, at my department, we actually jump trucks a lot. And when I say jump trucks, like yesterday when I was on shift, I was assigned to the rescue. Tomorrow when I go on to shift, I'm actually going to be on the ladder. And then Saturday, I'll be back on the rescue. So for us, we rotate around. We do a lot of different things. So depending on your seat, depending on your role that day, there's going to be different tools that you could be responsible for or what have you. For instance, if I'm driving the rescue, when we get on scene of a fire alarm or what have you, I'm gonna jump out. I'm gonna obviously grab my turnout gear, my SCBA. I'm grabbing a New York hook. I'm grabbing a water can. That's the driver. That's kind of his responsibility. That's the stuff that he's getting. The passenger on the rescue, 99% of the time, in their compartment, they have a tick and they have the irons. And so then we're meeting at the door. Now we have a full complement of tools that can help us accomplish a goal. And I personally think that that's very important that you coordinate.
Accomplish many goals, not just one.
What did I say? Did I say one goal?
No, you just said accomplish a goal. Now, but there's several different. If you got that whole complement, it's so many more.
And I think,
metaphorically speaking, doors that you can open.
I think it's very important. I stress to the students in my academy all the time that, they're broken up into 6 different companies of 5 people. And when they're grabbing tools, I tell them, why do 3 of you have a Halligan? Like you're not going to accomplish anything with that. There's a plethora of different tools you can grab, but you need to have a set of irons. You need to have a pickhead axe. You should have a sledgehammer. You need to have some type of pike pole or some type of hook. Spread it out so that now as you advance as a company, as you are given a mission, as you're given a task, you have all of those tools that you need. You have a complement. You don't have 5 people standing there doing forcible entry with a pike pole. It just doesn't make sense. And Matt, I agree with you. If I'm not grabbing the irons, I'm grabbing a Halligan, because with a Halligan you can accomplish, to Doug's words, multiple goals: force entry, search and rescue. There's a lot of different things that you can accomplish with a Halligan, and it's probably going to come up, but make sure you're getting a quality Halligan. Make sure you're getting quality tools. There are 3-piece Halligans out there that
ban 3-piece Halligans.
Huh?
Ban 3-piece Halligans.
And we're not here to throw
Should be in the
shade,
Constitution.
To throw shade at any companies that do what have you, but a 3-piece Halligan is not doing firefighters any justice, because should one of those pieces become dislodged, we are now up a creek without a paddle. If that's the easiest way to say that.
They can sell it to the cops.
Sure, they can. Yes, and then they can kick all the windows in on a house fire and wonder why went from a smoldering fire to a inferno in 30 seconds. I digress. Does anybody have their own specific tool? We have a couple of guys. I can think of one specifically. He bought his own pig tool. It's his. It goes in his locker after shift. He puts it in the truck, what have you. He's got it, the handles taped up like a hockey stick or what have you. Me personally, I'd love to have some type of tool of my own. If there's companies out there that want to have us demo tools, but I'd love to have something.
If you want to test this durability, send it to us.
Yeah, we'll beat it up. We'll help you out. But does anybody out there have their own tool, or is it pretty much fire department provided?
We've got. I don't personally have any of my own, and unless the department stops buying us quality tools, I won't have any of my own. That to me is the only reason I see why you. I mean, granted, there's some guys who are just that ingrained in the service, and some of them win them at raffles at different events and that kind of thing. So it's cool, whatever. I'm not putting anybody down for it, but as long as the department provides me with quality equipment, I don't see any reason to spend my own money on it. Especially if I was to break it, I'd be pissed. But we've got several guys at my station on the shift that I'm going to relieve that are working today that I relieve tomorrow morning that have their own hooks and Halligans. That they're not true irons. They have the Halligan mounted to their 6-foot hook. But yeah, we have a lot of people in our department who have their own personal tools.
Does anybody have a slam again?
I was just gonna say that. Anybody got the Joe Cruz slam again?
I asked the guy at the they had a Virginia Beach Fire Rescue Conference. I went up to ask them. I said, "I know you get this a lot. How many times a day did people come up and ask you about the slam again?" He was like, "Every day, all day. They don't do nothing like that."
It's funny. So we have a pretty famous truck academy that's pretty close to us, and it's very hard to get into. You put in for it, and it's literally 2 weeks of just truck work. We don't have a truck in Laguna Beach, but we still preached for guys to go to this class. It's a lot of good rescue stuff, vertical ventilation, horizontal. I mean, it's the gamut of it, right? But it's funny because every time, typically we'll send about 2, maybe 3, but usually 1 or 2 every year. And those guys have always come back with their own like flathead or pickhead axe that they went out and bought. So there are a handful of guys that I work with that have their own axes, which I don't think is a bad deal. They'll place it in their little spot in the engine and it's there for them when they need it. We do carry 1 pickhead axe and scabbard on our engines, on all of our engines. But we don't have a truck. We've talked about this. I know, Doug, you're like, what? your department doesn't have a truck. We usually use what we call Big Brother. The county comes in on all of our structure fires. We get 4 engines and a couple of trucks. So from the northern bordering city or the county, we get a truck somehow. But because we're on there's only 3 ways in and out of our city. And so we got to be pretty self-sufficient when it comes to truck work, whether it's ropes or rick or vertical ventilation, whatever it is. So if we're on a structure fire and you're third due, you're going to get assigned ventilation. So as an engine company, we have to be prepared for that assignment. And one of the big things that we do, not every morning, because if it's just our normal crew, we should have it set. But if you have a new firefighter on your crew that day doing overtime, whatever it is, you got to know 2 guys are grabbing. We have 30-foot 3-section ladders. So 2 guys are going to grab the ladder, whether it's the captain or the firefighter, whoever it comes up with, whatever we come up with it in the morning. 2 guys grab the ladder. The other guy grabs the hook and the saw, starts the saw at the rig, and we go. And that's how we start our evolutions. And that's how we train. Do you guys have any sort of like things that you guys talk about in the mornings with new crew members of that day, as far as like who's going to grab what?
So for us, we use Blue Card. It's a different type of training and staging and all that. So our officers, our battalion chiefs, they go pretty strict on Blue Card. So when we catch, a structure fire or something like that, my battalion chief in particular, he'll give his size up. He'll start assigning level 1, level 2 staging, He'll start assigning trucks like ladder upon your arrival, your water supply and utilities. Engine 2 upon your arrival, you're going to be on deck, or you're RIT, or rescue 1, your primary attack. So upon your arrival on the scene, you've got a pretty good guess of what you're going to do, and it doesn't vary much from fire to fire. While every fire is different, most of the time the vehicle you're on is going to be about the same task, unless the scene dictates it. If we have a rescue going on, if we have multiple exposures, if something is going on that breaks the norm. But usually based on the vehicle that you're in, you kind of know going in already, just from previous experience, what your task is gonna be.
I think it's safer. I think it's safer because the big word is anticipation. Like you can anticipate what you're going to be doing. Therefore, you're already running it through your head. Okay, I got to grab this, going to grab that, and we're going to go. You're going to be more efficient at whatever the goal is or the mission. Whether it doesn't matter what kind of call it is. I mean, it could be a medical aid. I know you guys have been on medical aids where you're talking to dispatch going, hey, what kind of medical aid is this? And they're like, we didn't get anything. It was a 911 hang up and we couldn't understand what they're saying. And you're kind of like, okay, well, what is it? What is it? Is it somebody passed out? Is it chest pain? Is it a cardiac arrest? What is it? So when you get that, hey, it's got chest pain, 1, 2, 3, Fake Street. You're like, okay, chest pain. You run through and so sometimes even in the rig on the way to a call, we'll be like, okay, hey guys, 3 shots of nitro. We can do aspirin and make sure they're not on blood thinners. They're not taking Viagra, right? So,
or even as simple as like, I'll grab the monitor and the Lucas, you grab the bag and the drug box.
Yeah,
something similar, something like that. Or you get the hey, you need to go to 1, 2, 3 Fake Street for a lift assist. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to a lift assist, and you get a mile down the road. Rescue 1 update. Go ahead. We've got pre-arrivals going on. CPR's in progress. Wait, what? This is a who? What's going on right now?
Yeah.
That's
difficulty breathing. Come to find out, it's a knife wound to the chest.
Yes.
That's why they're having trouble.
Yes.
God bless the ghetto.
Douglas, how about you for roles? Does it change via the apparatus? Does it change via what you are? Because you guys having a bunch of different trucks coming from different areas, you might not be the ventilation crew because you're going to be 5th on scene or something like that, right?
Right. Our first due truck handles ventilation. We do very little roof cutting. My crew did it.
Positive pressure?
Probably 2 years ago. Yeah, we just do PPV at the front door.
Amen.
And the first due truck company handles that. But
truck?
Yeah, the first due truck company.
Okay. You guys train on like flow path stuff?
Yeah.
We exhaust and
yeah, we actually went down to my truck company. This has been probably 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, maybe 3, whatever. Went down to our Class A burn building and smoked it up with theatrical smoke and used our different fan complements to see what was moving air best and whatnot, and how we did some flow path training. But yes, we do positive pressure. Every now and then you'll see some guys do some hydro venting, that kind of thing. But we talk about our roles pretty much don't change, Freddie. We're assigned to what we're assigned to in our staffing, and if that's what you're assigned to, that's what you ride majority of the time. If you're at the engine medic house, you just rotate engine and medic, but the truck companies are pretty much the same truck guys ride the trucks because that's a very important role. But anyway, yes, we do a little talking in the morning sometimes and just throughout the day. And I think the best pre-planning you can do, I got stuck with best and pre there, is on the way to the call, like y'all were just talking about.
Slip.
Yeah, you get the comment, you get the dispatch, obviously, and that's when your pre-planning starts, is on dispatch. And then the comments are updating as you're coming, and you're talking like Matt was just saying, depending on whatever the call type is, you're talking about the hypotheticals of what could be. If it's this is what we're going to do. If it's this is what we're going to do. I know when I was fairly new and riding the jump seat, all I wanted to know from the officer was which side of the road is it on initially, so I could say, hey, where do I need to go to pull the line?
Yeah.
But yeah, roles pretty much don't change for us. Jump seat does what he or she does. company officer makes the lap. Most jumpsuits are going to pull a line if they feel like you need to. Sometimes the officer will give you direction. That depends on the company officer. But obviously, if the scene dictates it, we're going to pull a line. But again, it's call dependent. But yeah, we do discuss it.
Let's pivot real quick, and I want to talk about your pockets, because I know this is a huge a topic of discussion, a topic of argument. I have personally gotten a lot of grief about the amount of stuff I carry in my pockets. The gear, when I wear my gear from work at the fire academy, and I'll pull out my tools that I have in there. I have quite a few tools in my pockets. I have webbing, I have rope. Well, here, we're gonna go right through it. In
Pocket dump.
Yeah, in my bunker pants on the right, I carry it's actually by Modus, but it's their little tool organizer, what have you. It's got a snagger tool. In there I have a shove knife. I have a pair of wire snips. I have a small set of little spanners, and then I have a 6-way screwdriver, the one that you can flip around or whatever, which is funny because that's the thing that I use absolutely the most, is that little screwdriver. And then also in that pocket I have 20 feet of webbing with a carabiner. On my left pant pocket I have 25 feet of rope with a carabiner on it. And then in my coat pockets, on the left coat pocket, I have a few tools, a pair of snips and a wedge and a screwdriver. And then on the right side coat pocket, I have webbing. And the whole reason, at least in my brain, the whole reason that I have that is if I become in a situation where I'm pinned on my left side, I now have tools and webbing on my right side that I can access. And if I get pinned on my right side, I have tools and webbing that I can access that's on my left side. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I can't get to any of my tools. I also don't want to ever be in a situation where I can't take some webbing, take some rope, make a hasty harness, and bail out the window. Because frankly, as far as I'm concerned, carrying an extra 10 pounds in my pocket is worth going home to me. And I've had a lot of people, tell me like, oh, all I got in my pocket is a pair of hose rolling gloves and a wooden wedge. And other people, oh, I like that you carry that much. So like I said, it is what it is. It's my gear. I wear my gear. You don't wear my gear. So I have no problem having a few extra pounds in there, because I know that almost every situation I can get into, I have something that I can get myself out of it with. Who else wants to jump in? Go ahead, Unc. What do you got in your pockets?
I got a couple wedges, a couple feet of rope in one pocket, webbing in the other one. Because just like you said, I was taught, what if you can't get to your right side? Try your left side. Some wire snips. I got one of the most handiest things I ever have is just a little multi-tool. And it's only like, I don't know, 9 barley corns long. And I keep that in my pocket. But yeah. I try to keep it simple because they broke.
Okay, barley corn.
They broke me in the habit when I first got in. When you first get into the fire department, it's cool to have, the fire truck in your pocket.
Yeah.
And they broke me in the habit long before. They're like, it's on the truck. You can carry all this stuff you got in your pockets. It's on the truck. You can just grab it then. So
yeah, but not if I'm laying underneath a bunch of ceiling.
It's true.
All right. Let me address some of that, Freddie. If that happens, nothing I'm carrying in my pocket, in my opinion, is going to help me. If I'm incapacitated, if the ceiling falls in on me, if a wall falls over and pins me under it, nothing I can reach in my pocket is going to extricate me from that if I can't wiggle myself out of it. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair.
But again, it's personal choice. Unky, I was like you. When I first started, I bought one of the cool pocket organizers and I carried all kinds of crap. I went to Lowe's and spent an ungodly amount of money on small tools. Now in my top turnout pocket. Of course, I got a box light, or excuse me, a coat light.
We
I
carry a
have
whole box light on you? Jeez.
I have a helmet a helmet light on my head, on my helmet, which is again a piece of personal. That's probably the only piece of personal equipment I own. A lot of guys have leathers, but anyway, I have a flashlight on there. I have a coat light. I do carry a box light, but I bought one of the new small Streamlight Vantages. It doesn't weigh anything. It's awesome. But I clip that to my waistband on my air pack, so if I'm down on my knees and crawling, it hangs right about floor level. In this chest pocket, I have iPro, 6-in-1 screwdriver, and a pair of channel lock cutters. It's got a cutter, it's got a hydrant, a spanner on it, it's got a gas shutoff tool, and it's got a little wedge built into it. It's a really nice tool. My cousin gave it to me when I graduated.
Yeah, those like black channel lock ones.
Yeah, it's a
I
pretty
got a
big
set of
tool.
those. Yep.
Yeah, it's a very handy tool. It's very used cutting battery cables. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I don't put much in my coat pockets because my waist strap kind of gets in the way of it. But I do carry a Benchmade triage knife in there, which has a seatbelt cutter and a window punch on it, because I'm not wearing my air pack if I'm on an accident, so I can get to it. And I keep a small piece of rope in one of my pockets, in my coat pockets. The other one just has some EMS gloves in it for, again, car accidents. Turnout pockets, my pants pockets. I have webbing in both sides. Excuse me. One's about 8 foot and one's about 20 foot, both with carabiners. Because again, if I, like Freddie, if I need to bail out of a 2nd-story window, that 20 foot's enough to get me where I can either reach the ground or fall to the ground without severely injuring myself.
Aim for the bushes.
Yeah, and I have a pair of work gloves.
I believe I could fly.
Or leather gloves for hose rolling or whatever, just standard car wreck stuff. And wedges. That's pretty much all I carry in my pockets. I have a battalion chief. Well, he still works for us. Said the only thing he ever carried in his pockets was an 1.5 inch smoothbore tip. That was it.
All right.
Matt, what you got in your pockets?
Well, I'm not going to bore everybody. I pretty much have all the same stuff that you guys are talking about. I carry some webbing in my right bellow mostly for rescue stuff. We have a drop bag that we hang off the back of our SCBAs. And that's for, typically if we need to, haul her down, hey, we need another line up here through a window or an axe or a pike pole, we can drop down our rope bag, our drop bag. We also, and I was going to ask you guys, do you guys have firefighter escape stuff that's built into your SCBAs? No. So we have this handy dandy.
Well, we have just the DRDs at the back.
So we have the DRD as well, just to drag you, right?
Yeah,
but
no, our pants don't have the harness.
I'm talking a bailout system.
Yeah, no,
we used to.
We have guys that put them in themselves, but we don't. Our pants do not come with them. No.
Yeah. So we used to have it was called the Fred, the firefighter rescue escape device. There you go, Freddie. They stole it from you. We got rid of that, and now we have this hook system that it's kind of gnarly. I'm not gonna lie. The department, we've had them for a few years now. I've fallen out of a few windows because the hook doesn't stay basically impaled into the drywall or whatever it may be, like concrete. We had a really scary situation. We had an 11-month test, and of course we had him on a belay line, but it didn't catch, and we were on the 3rd story, and he was flying down like it was freaking Mission Impossible. And I dropped that. Do you guys have multi MPDs, multi-purpose devices for your rope stuff? It's like a red, made by CMC.
Yeah,
we had that. I had that. We had him belayed off of the MPD, and
are you a tech guy?
Huh?
Are you a tech guy?
No, I'm not. I'm not
rescue?
all the way to tech. I mean, I've taken Rescue Systems 1. I haven't been further than that. But I mean, if you want to get into that, Rescue Systems 1 is mostly like the Mariner's Knot and the word just escaped my brain, but anyways, we have a hook thing. It doesn't work that well. We don't really like it, but we're getting new SCBAs and hopefully a new rescue device. But I don't really carry much in my pockets that's different than you guys. I'm happy or proud of you guys for using wire snips, and that's the most politically correct word for it. So yeah, rope is taken care of. I carry wedges in my helmet. I have my own light. And the flathead screwdriver, man. That's like, I have this really cool device. It's like a steel, so it's pretty heavy, but it works as a spanner wrench, It opens up and you can use it as a spanner wrench. And at the very tip of it, it also has a gas shut off. And then I can also breach windows with it if I need that as well. So, doing utilities and stuff like that, that works pretty well for gas and shutoffs. So not much different than what you guys are wearing, wearing on your stuff. So.
I got one thing different than all y'all don't have. Keys. Y'all may have the Knox box.
I got keys.
keys.
It's called an 8-pound Halligan.
Nah, man, we got keys to mechanical rooms, buildings, and
I bet
every
y'all
single
do,
type of fire alarm. Oh,
Yeah.
we look like the biggest superheroes. We went out into the city.
You mispronounced janitor.
we went out to the city.
Big old ring.
And these guys, alarm was going off in a brand new building. They had no idea. They're saying just like grills on the roof, just pounding the panel. And we're like, watch out, guys. We got this. Ching, ching. We're like, how'd you do that? I was like, where'd you get those keys? I was like, we can't tell you. That's what those federal guys got. We got the keys. We did reset. Big heroes that day.
What kind of clearance do you have to have those keys?
You just got to have the hookup.
Oh, I got you.
Holler if you hear me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we still got, the traditional boxes, the box alarm pool ones.
Knox boxes.
No, like fire alarm boxes.
Oh, yeah.
We still have those, but they're slowly getting rid of them. But yeah.
Freddie, I also have a shove knife in my chest pocket too. I know you mentioned the shove knife.
Yeah,
But
I like that. I like that shove knife. The one I have, it is what it is. But
I'm a big light guy. I love my lights. I used to have the 90-degree stream light on my radio strap, but I took it off because it was just uncomfortable where it was at. If I'm in my station wear, I have a Leatherman on my belt, and I keep a Streamlight stick light in my back pocket, and I use it every day.
So my job shirt, I have a pen, and I have a little Streamlight like pen light, like it's like this long LED.
Streamlight stylus, yeah.
And then on my radio strap, I actually have I actually got it out of the burn box. There's it's a rescue knife. It has like a window punch, a seatbelt cutter, and whatever on there. And then I have a little I got a little flashlight, and then I also super underutilized or underrealized, what have you. I have a carabiner on there, and I get asked all the time, like, why do you got a carabiner hanging on your radio strap? And I tell them, I said, where do you put the 1,000 bag when we're transferring the patient over? Do you like
on their lap, man?
The old style phone?
Yeah,
because
close the wheel.
Shut it down.
The wheel.
I hook it right there. You're moving the patient. Don't gotta worry about it.
I have one of those old cheap knives that they gave us for EMS week at the hospital or something, but it's got a serrated, it's half serrated, half smooth, and it's got a window punch and a seatbelt cutter. It's just a cheap junk knife to use at work, and I keep that on my radio strap too, Freddie.
Nice.
Good work. You know what works really well too is EMS shears. They can cut wires if you're even into a wire issue. Huh?
They can cut a penny.
Cut a penny. I use them to cut airbags away from vehicles.
Yep.
I use those a lot. A lot.
Yeah. They're really good for taking the backbone out of a chicken.
Yes.
I did that on my
spatchcock.
I spatchcock 2 birds on the smoker, and that's exactly what I use. Trauma shears.
With all of that being said, I think it goes to say the utmost importance is the tools you carry with you, the tools that are on the truck. Make sure that you are familiar with the trucks that respond with you on calls, because the one thing that I hate, the one thing that I stress to my students in the academy is when you get hired onto a department, make sure you know where every single tool is in every single compartment, because the one thing that's going to piss off an officer, at least in my experience, is playing the merry-go-round where you open up every single compartment when they ask you to go and find a box light or go grab me the toolbox, and you're oh no, that's the fan. Nope, that's the whatever. Oh, that's a chainsaw.
Most of our engines and trucks are set up very similar for that reason.
And that's fine, but it's still something that I think that your first 6 months, you need to test yourself. Absolutely. I used to go out there on both departments that I was on, and it was funny. I would put my head on the compartment that it was closed, like right on the door. I put my head on it, and I would sit there and I would try and name everything in the compartment. In my mind, I was learning it by osmosis, like I was like sucking it into my brain. But I would
we
sit
actually
there
took pictures
and I'd open it. Nope, I missed something. Close it, try again.
Yeah, we took pictures and laminated them and put them in the compartments. So whenever you're switching units to reserve, everything goes back and you can relate to that picture and say, all right, everything's here and where it needs to be.
Yes.
I've always been told I like to, as a new guy in the station, assigned to the station or a rookie or whatever you want to be. It was always beaten in my school. Keep a book in your pocket. Those right in the rain books are perfect. You can wash them in the washing machine. They're still there.
Yeah.
Keep that in there with my the hand methods in there, all you PSI. But I do inventory of whatever truck I'm on. So you have it. The thought process was the captain we used to come to you and go, all right, Freddie, what's in the engineer compartment? And you have to list off everything. And if you couldn't think of it, he'll allow you to go to your book. You know, when he asks you a question, you have to give him an answer, but you cannot leave where you're standing. You can't open it up and tell them what's in the compartment. So they would accept it, the book, but they would do book checks. Make sure you always had your book with you at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock on the calls. And if you didn't know what was in that engineer's compartment or that compartment, you missed something, take everything out, clean everything, the walls, everything out, and clean the tools and put them back. And he'll be back later to the day to quiz you again on that compartment. But
because you're gonna learn today.
Yeah. So if you can't remember, I can't remember hardly anything. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I have it in the book. So that's just something you can do.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Good talk.
Hey,
good talk.
That was a lot of information. That was a lot of good conversation. Really highlighting the similarities and the differences across the nation that firefighters are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Right now, we're going to jump into my recipe for this week is going to be called something that I kind of made up myself. It's called gnocchi alla Freddy. It's you're going to take some Italian sausage links, slice them up in medallions, fry them up, take those out. You're going to boil a pot of water. In the water, you're going to put two bags of the gnocchis, which is like the Italian cheese or potato dumplings. And then you'll get some pasta sauce, some peas, put it all together into a pot, cover it with mozzarella and Parmesan cheese, and then put it under the broiler for about 2 or 3 minutes to brown it up. Oh, it's amazing. Serve it with garlic bread. Pasta or gnocchi alla Freddy.
I might make that tomorrow.
Yucky Freddy.
Yeah, yucky Freddy.
All right, yucky. That's it. You know what's funny is that's what my daughter calls gnocchis. Daddy, can we have yuckies tonight? Absolutely, we can have some yuckies.
Gnocchi or gnocchi?
Gnocchi.
Whatever.
Gnocchi alla Freddy.
It's that stuff from the Olive Garden.
Hey, we got exciting next episode.
Yes.
We do. We have an exciting next episode. Douglas, tell us what's happening.
So next weekend, it'll be next weekend. Friday's the weekend, right?
Sure.
A couple of weeks back, we did our mental health episode, and I reached out to a gentleman about guesting on the podcast, and he was graciously accepting of my invite. And we're going to bring in Lieutenant Kenny Mitchell from my department, who runs an organization called Operation Yellow Tape, and we're going to let him talk about all that to you guys and plug his organization. And I told him the time's his, man. Just ramble on what you want to ramble on, drive your points home, buddy, and we'll just sit here and let it organically happen, man. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. So y'all stay tuned for that. That'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah. And
2 weeks.
And we're going to put them through turnout drill. Something that we're thinking about all of our guests. They're going to get 5 questions, rapid fire, and they don't know what they are. This could be fun.
They're going to change every week.
They are.
Whoa.
So you can do your research if you plan on being on the podcast, but it might not be the same questions. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is another amazing episode of the Cool Fireman podcast. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you're sharing it with your friends, letting them know how much fun we're having here. Everybody, it's shift change. Take care.
Later.